Hey, this is 13, and today I want to go over the Simpson Uplift Restraint system and how it can be used by a homeowner to do an unsanctioned retrofit to increase hurricane resistance. Now, this system is initially intended and designed by Simpson to be done by engineers and designed as an entire system to transfer uniform uplift forces generated by hurricane force winds through the roof through direct load paths into the foundation, thus reducing the chance of a house being torn apart during high wind loads. However, there are a lot of better ways to design and construct homes to be hurricane resistant rather than throwing rods into the walls. So I think a true shining feature of this system is that it can be used for retrofitting existing wooden structures anytime that the inside cavities of the walls are exposed, as in the situation of an extreme renovation on the home, replacing drywall, adding insulation, etc. Everything you see in front of me are all of the components that I chose to use in my version of this system. I may have an engineering degree, but I am not an engineer, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm installing this system in my personal forever home, so I'm not interested in any sort of benefits like insurance reduction rates, resale value, or anything like that. I'm simply trying to reinforce my home and make it more resilient to more extreme weather patterns that are guaranteed as a result of climate change. Now, the first step that I recommend is, of course, to have a game plan before you go into this project. How I chose to do that was using my roof framing plan, and then I can easily map out where I'm going to put my rods. If you're an engineer, you're going to be using calculations and load diagrams in order to figure out placement. However, if you don't want to do all that complicated math stuff, basically anytime you've got a window, you're going to want to put a rod on either side of a window. Anytime you've got a door, you're going to want to put a rod on either side of the door. Anytime you've got a corner, you're going to want one on either side of the corner. And anytime you've got like a long open space, you're probably going to want one about every 4 feet. So I am putting them in positions where I think that the house is more vulnerable and will require additional reinforcement. But this layout at least gave me a quantity takeoff so that I knew what to order. The first component of this system is how to set your threaded rod into the foundation. If you want to use anchorage adhesive, the part number is SET-3G, and you're usually shooting for about a 7-inch embedment. However, what I chose to use are the Titen HD rod couplers, and you can see the part number right there. These are sold in boxes of 25, and they look a lot like this bolt right here, and they've got threaded inserts right at the top like you see. The system that I designed is using 3/8 inch thick rod, which is the thinnest potential option out of the entire URS lineup. The systems go up in increments of 1/8 inch, so there's 1/2 inch rod, 5/8 rod, and so forth. Again, we've got a super tiny little 1-story wood frame house. All I'm trying to do is add some reinforcement. Anything is going to help more than nothing. This is something that you're going to be buying locally. This is just simply referred to as all thread rod, 3/8 inch by 16. So you can get that from any of your specialty local suppliers, either a home building equipment supplier, fastener supplier, or anything like that. The threaded rod connects to your anchor, or the threaded rod will be set into a hole and then sealed with that anchorage adhesive. It goes through the sill plate, up through the top plate, up through the cap plate, where it will then be set with a bearing plate. This bearing plate part number is BP-RTUD3-4B, meaning that this bearing plate can be used for the 3/8 system or the 4/8 system, which is the 1/2 inch system. Then we use the ratcheting take-up devices. This is the secret sauce that basically has little threads in there that the wood compresses. It will click, 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 and keep holding on to the threads and maintain a nice tight fit at all times. As you can see, the part number that I am using is RTUD3B. If you're doing a 1/2 inch system, that's the RTUD4B. And then in order to hold that to the top plate, you'll be using these screws right here, which are the SD connector screws. These guys are readily available at your local hardware store, Home Depot, that sort of thing. This whole system is really easy to do, and hopefully by the end of me demonstrating it to you, you'll feel empowered to be able to take on this type of system yourself in the event that you have a home remodeling project, or maybe you're just concerned about the structural stability of your home during the next hurricane season. So let's get it underway. Once you've selected your location, you're going to need to drill through your sill plate. Since I'm doing a 3/8 rod system, I prefer using a 7/16 or a 1/2 inch drill bit to get through the wood itself. For the record, you're going to destroy your drill bit by doing this, because every time you drill through the wood, you're going to hit the concrete, and then eventually it's just going to dull out the tip. So just be aware that you're using a sacrificial drill bit for this. Now you're going to need a long masonry bit. This is a masonry bit designed to go through concrete. I've got it flagged right there with the depth of this plus about an extra inch or so. This needs to be done with a hammer drill, by the way. Next, we're going to put the bolt in, and we're going to use a large impact tool for that. For the record, my 18-volt impact tool did not work on this, so I've got this corded one that I use instead for higher torque applications. And there we go, we've got an anchor bolt set. I'm going to take the threaded rod and feed it through the upper hole just like that. And then I'm going to take this threaded rod and put it in the anchor and start screwing it in as much as by hand, which usually isn't much. And then come in here with some channel locks and just keep turning it until it gets to be nice and tight. And it will not turn any more. There we go. We're tight in there. Also, as a side note, these threaded rods are only available locally for 10-foot lengths, so I've been cutting them all down to 8-foot lengths because that's the length that I need. So once the rod is through the top of the wall, you're going to take your bearing plate and just put it right over top like so. We've got our ratcheting take-up device that can either be threaded on, or honestly, you can just kind of wiggle it down and it pushes down like so. Then I'm going to take my 2 SD screws and then locate the holes and kind of indent them down so they hold. Now obviously we've got a bit of a clearance issue between the roof, so I'm going to use this impact rated 90-degree angle driver, and that will allow me to get in there pretty tightly. There's still going to be a bit of an angle, but you can watch it work. And voila, we're done. And there you go, that's a close-up of the finished product. And if these do absolutely anything in helping to maintain my walls sticking to the foundation during a hurricane, then it is worth the money. Because we all know that insurance isn't going to be paying out anytime soon for any hurricane damage ever again. So cool, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. And that is the rod going all the way down into the concrete. Hope you have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. See you.